I still remember the day I married Stephanie, standing under that oak tree in Napa Valley, believing we would grow old together. Everything seemed perfect. We had dreams, plans, a future mapped out like a road with no end. But somewhere along the way she stopped seeing me as her husband and started seeing me as a gateway to something else, something far more valuable to her than our vows. It was not just about love anymore. It was about money, my parents' money. And when she asked for a divorce, I never imagined she would have the audacity to go on vacation with her affair partner, celebrating what she thought would be her biggest payday. She was wrong. Before I dive into how greed destroyed everything we built, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments, hit that like button, and make sure to subscribe, because what happened next taught me the hardest lesson about trusting the wrong person for the wrong reasons. Now let me take you back to where it all started to fall apart. I met Stephanie 6 years ago at a networking event in Seattle. She walked into the room with this confidence that caught everyone's attention. Smart, ambitious, beautiful, in a way that was not flashy but understated. We started talking about marketing trends, then moved on to favorite hiking trails, and before I knew it, we had been standing in that corner for 2 hours. She gave me her number. I called her the next day. We went to dinner at a small Italian place near Pike Place Market. That was the beginning. We dated for 2 years before I proposed. I took her back to that same Italian restaurant, got down on one knee, and asked her to spend the rest of her life with me. She said yes, without hesitation. Her eyes filled with tears. I thought they were happy tears. Looking back now, I wonder if even then she was calculating something I could not see. We got married 4 years ago in a small ceremony at a vineyard in Napa Valley. Just close friends and family, nothing extravagant. Stephanie wanted simple and intimate, and I loved that about her. We danced under string lights. We toasted with champagne. My parents welcomed her into the family with open arms. It felt like the start of something beautiful. Our life together was good at first. Really good. We bought a condo in Seattle together, split the bills down the middle, cooked dinner on weekends, went hiking in the Cascades, watched movies on rainy nights. I worked as a senior software engineer making around $120,000 a year. Stephanie was a marketing manager pulling in about $85,000. We were comfortable. We talked about having kids in a couple of years. We made plans. My parents were successful entrepreneurs. They had built a family trust fund worth several $1,000,000, but I never relied on it. I lived off my own income. I wanted to make my own way. When Stephanie and I got engaged, my parents asked me to get a prenuptial agreement. I was hesitant. It felt unromantic. But they insisted it was to protect the family assets. I understood. I brought it up with Stephanie, nervously expecting pushback. She smiled and said, "I love you for you, not your family's money." She signed it without complaint. I felt relieved, grateful. I thought it meant she truly loved me for who I was, not what I had. That moment made me trust her completely. For the first couple of years, everything was exactly what I had hoped marriage would be. We supported each other. We laughed together. We talked about our future like it was a sure thing. But then, about a year ago, things started to change. Stephanie began working late. 3, sometimes 4 nights a week, she would come home at 9 or 10 at night. She said it was because of a new campaign launch. Her company was expanding. She was busy. I believed her. I wanted to support her career, so I cooked dinner and left it in the fridge for her. I gave her space. I did not complain. But she started to feel distant. Conversations became shorter. She stopped asking about my day. When we sat together on the couch, she scrolled through her phone instead of talking to me. On weekends, she said she was too tired to do anything, but she was always on her phone, texting, smiling at the screen. I tried to reach out. "Is everything okay?" I asked one Saturday morning. "You seem distant." She barely looked up. "Just work stress, babe. Nothing to worry about." I wanted to believe her. I bought her flowers. I booked us a spa day. I gave her massages after long days, but nothing seemed to bring her back to me. She accepted everything I did with a polite smile, but the warmth was gone. One night I was sitting next to her on the couch. She was watching some reality show, barely paying attention. Out of nowhere, she turned to me and asked, "So when exactly will you get access to your parents' trust fund?" I was caught off guard. When I turn 40, or if something happens to my parents. Why, I was 33 at the time. That meant 7 more years. She looked disappointed. "Oh, that is quite a wait." I frowned. "Do we need money? I thought we were doing fine." She shook her head quickly. "No, just curious." But her tone did not match her words. Something felt off. Over the next few weeks, she brought up the trust fund a few more times. Casual questions. How much was it worth? Who managed it? Could I access it early? I answered her honestly, but each time I felt a growing unease. Why was she so interested all of a sudden? I told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe she was just planning for our future. Maybe she wanted to feel secure. But deep down, a voice whispered that something was not right. I ignored it. I wanted to trust my wife. Around 6 months ago, Stephanie started mentioning a new coworker. His name was Kyle. At first, it was innocent. Kyle suggested this new strategy for the campaign. Kyle and I grabbed lunch to discuss the project. I did not think much of it. She worked in marketing. Collaborating with colleagues was normal. Kyle was a senior director at her company. Successful, well-paid, single. Stephanie said he had great ideas and was helping her advance in her career. I was happy for her. Then the business trips started. San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles. Each time Kyle was going too. Stephanie said it was for client meetings, conferences, strategy sessions. I supported her. I knew how important her career was to her. I wanted her to succeed. But every time she came back from a trip, she seemed more distant, colder, like a part of her had stayed behind with someone else. One night I woke up at 2 in the morning. Stephanie was not in bed. I found her sitting on the couch in the dark, staring at her phone, smiling. She was typing something, then giggling softly to herself. I walked over. "Who are you texting this late?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. She jumped, startled. Her phone screen went black instantly. "Just a friend from college." At 2 in the morning, her expression hardened. "Why are you questioning me? Do not you trust me?" I felt like I had done something wrong. "Sorry. I just thought it was late. You are being paranoid and controlling, Davis." I apologized, multiple times. I went back to bed feeling guilty, like I had violated her privacy. But the truth was, something in my gut was screaming that this was not normal. After that night, Stephanie became even more secretive with her phone. She changed her password. She took it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. She angled the screen away from me when she texted. I tried not to think the worst. I told myself I was being insecure, but the doubts kept growing. Then 3 months ago, everything exploded. It was a Friday night. I came home from work expecting a quiet evening. Stephanie was already there, sitting at the kitchen table. Her face was serious, cold. She looked at me and said, "Davis, sit down. We need to talk." I sat down across from her, my heart already sinking. "I think we need to end this marriage," she said. Her voice was flat, emotionless. I stared at her, stunned. "What? Why? What happened? I do not feel it anymore. We have grown apart, but we can work on this," I said, my voice breaking. "Let us go to couples therapy. Let us try." She shook her head. "I have made up my mind. I want a divorce." I could not breathe. "Please, Steph, we have been together for 6 years. Do not throw it all away. I am not happy anymore. I need to move on." Her words felt like knives. I begged. I pleaded. I asked her to reconsider, but her mind was made up. She was done, just like that. 6 years of my life, reduced to a cold conversation at the kitchen table. Within a week, she moved out. She said she was staying with a friend. Our lawyers started negotiating the terms of the divorce. I thought it would be straightforward. We had a prenup. Everything was clearly outlined. Separate property would remain separate. Marital assets would be split fairly. Simple. Then her lawyer sent over a demand letter. Stephanie was asking for a share of my parents' trust fund. I could not believe it. I called my lawyer immediately, but the prenup clearly states that the trust fund is separate property. She has no claim to it. Her lawyer argued that Stephanie had been under the impression she would share in all marital assets, including future distributions from the trust. They claimed I had led her to believe a certain lifestyle would be maintained. It was absurd. It was a lie. That was the moment I realized the truth. Stephanie did not want a divorce because we had grown apart. She wanted a divorce because she thought she could take half of everything, including money that was not even mine yet. This was about greed, pure and simple. I felt sick, betrayed, not just because she wanted to leave me, but because she had been planning this, calculating, using me. My best friend Andrew came over that night. I told him everything. He looked at me seriously and said, "Bro, you need to know the truth. Hire a private investigator." I hesitated. It felt wrong, like I was stooping to some low level. But Andrew was right. I needed to know what I was up against. I hired a private investigator the next day. 2 weeks later, the investigator sent me a thick envelope. Inside were photos, videos, emails, evidence I could not deny. Photos of Stephanie and Kyle kissing outside a hotel in San Francisco. Videos of them entering a hotel room together at 11 at night and leaving the next morning at 8. Receipts from hotels and restaurants under Kyle's name, but for 2 people. And emails. So many emails. I read them one by one, each word cutting deeper than the last. Kyle wrote, "Once you get the divorce settlement, we can finally be together properly." Stephanie replied, "I am pushing for a share of the trust fund. My lawyer thinks we have a case." Kyle, good. That prenup should not stop you. You deserve that money after putting up with him. Stephanie, I know. I cannot wait to be done with this and start our real life. I sat there staring at the screen, feeling like the floor had disappeared beneath me. 8 months. For 8 months she had been with him. Lying to me, planning this, using me. I cried that night. For the first time since my father passed away years ago, I broke down completely. Not just because I lost my wife, but because I realized she never loved me. I was just a stepping stone, a means to an end. But after the tears, something else took over. Anger, determination. I was not going to let them win. I pulled myself together. I called Patricia Thornton, one of the best family lawyers in Seattle. I brought every piece of evidence to her office. She went through everything, carefully nodding as she read. "This is solid," she said. "She violated the prenup. There is a clause about infidelity. According to our prenuptial agreement, if either party committed adultery, they forfeited any claim to marital assets beyond what they brought into the marriage." Stephanie had signed that agreement willingly. Now, it was going to protect me. Patricia continued, "We can also sue for fraudulent misrepresentation. She married you with the intent to access the trust fund. That is fraud." "What about Kyle?" I asked. "Washington does not have alienation of affection laws, but we can explore other legal avenues. Let me do some research." I gave Patricia full authorization to move forward. Meanwhile, Stephanie and Kyle thought they had won. They thought I would quietly agree to a settlement, hand over some money, and disappear. They had no idea I had evidence. 6 weeks after Stephanie asked for the divorce, she and Kyle booked a vacation to Turks and Caicos, a luxury resort, 5 stars. The trip cost around $10,000 for the week. Kyle paid for it, confident that soon they would have access to my family's trust fund. Before they left, Stephanie posted a picture on Instagram, "New chapter, new adventures." In the photo, she and Kyle were holding hands at the airport, smiling like they did not have a care in the world. I saw the post through a mutual friend's account since Stephanie had blocked me. Andrew sent me a screenshot. "Bro, you seeing this? It hurt." I would be lying if I said it did not, but I stayed focused. Let her have her moment. It will not last. Right before Stephanie boarded her flight, Patricia filed the lawsuit. The papers were delivered to Stephanie's temporary address. The lawsuit outlined everything: violation of the prenuptial agreement, adultery, Fraud. We were seeking legal fees and damages for emotional distress. Stephanie called her lawyer in a panic. I imagine the conversation did not go well. Her lawyer probably told her the truth, that we had evidence, that everything had changed. But Kyle convinced her to go on the trip anyway. Do not worry. Enjoy the vacation. We will deal with it when we get back. So they went. For an entire week, Stephanie posted pictures. The beach, cocktails, sunset dinners. Every image was like a slap in the face, but I did not look anymore. I stayed focused on the legal strategy. When Stephanie returned from her vacation, she was served with a court summons. The hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. The day of the hearing arrived. King County Superior Court. I sat in the courtroom calm and composed. Stephanie sat across the room with her lawyer looking worried. Kyle was nowhere to be seen. He had abandoned her the moment things got serious. Patricia presented our case, methodically. She showed the emails between Stephanie and Kyle discussing their plan to get the trust fund. She showed the photos and videos of the affair. She presented the prenuptial agreement with the infidelity clause clearly highlighted. She argued that Stephanie had entered the marriage with fraudulent intent. Stephanie's lawyer tried to defend her, but the evidence was overwhelming. There was nothing they could say. The judge asked Stephanie directly, "Do you deny these allegations?" Stephanie stammered, "We fell in love. It just happened." The judge was not impressed. That does not address the fraud allegation or the prenuptial agreement violation. The trial lasted 2 days. On the second day, the judge delivered the verdict. The divorce was granted. Stephanie received nothing from our marital assets due to the prenup violation. She was ordered to pay my legal fees, which totaled $35,000. She was also ordered to pay $50,000 in damages for emotional distress and fraudulent misrepresentation. The condo, which I had paid the down payment and most of the mortgage for, was awarded to me. Stephanie broke down in the courtroom. She cried. Her lawyer tried to console her, but there was nothing left to say. I did not feel victorious. I just felt relief. It was over. After the hearing, I saw Stephanie in the courthouse hallway. She approached me, her eyes red. "I am sorry, Davis," she said quietly. "I messed up." I looked at her, this woman I once loved, and felt nothing but pity. "You did not just mess up, Stephanie. You betrayed everything we had for money you never deserved." She looked down. "Kyle left me. He said he could not be with someone with so much baggage." I shook my head. That is what happens when relationships are built on greed instead of love. I turned and walked away. I did not look back. The months after the divorce were hard. I would be lying if I said I bounced back immediately. There were nights I could not sleep. Mornings I did not want to get out of bed. The betrayal cut deeper than I expected. But I did not let it destroy me. I started going to therapy, talking about the pain, the anger, the feelings of worthlessness. My therapist helped me understand that what Stephanie did was not a reflection of my value. It was a reflection of her character. I did not do anything wrong. I was not unlovable. I was just married to someone who loved money more than she loved me. I threw myself into physical health. I started going to the gym every morning. I ran a marathon. The endorphins helped. The discipline helped. I felt stronger, not just physically, but mentally. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I got promoted at work. Senior engineering manager. My salary jumped to $150,000 a year. I was doing well. Better than I had in a long time. Andrew and my close friends were there for me, every step of the way. We went hiking in the North Cascades. We took a road trip to Portland. We sat around campfires and talked about life. I laughed again. Real laughter. The kind that comes from genuine happiness, not forced smiles. I realized that my life without Stephanie was actually better. There was no more coldness, no more lies, no more walking on eggshells wondering if she was texting someone else. I was free. I started picking up old hobbies. I played guitar again. I read books I had been meaning to read for years. I volunteered at an animal shelter on weekends. I met new people. I built real, honest friendships. I was not in a hurry to date again. I focused on loving myself first. on rebuilding the parts of me that had been damaged, on learning to trust again, starting with trusting myself. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Stephanie had to move back in with her parents. She took a job with a lower salary. Kyle predictably had moved on. He married someone else, someone wealthier. Stephanie got nothing from him just like she got nothing from me. But I did not feel satisfaction from her misfortune. I just felt indifferent. She made her choices. She had to live with the consequences. That was not my problem anymore. A year after the divorce, I was sitting in my favorite coffee shop looking out the window at the Seattle rain. I thought about everything that had happened. The pain, the betrayal, the legal battle, the healing, and I realized something important. I was grateful. Grateful that I found out the truth when I did. Grateful that I had the strength to fight back. Grateful that I did not let her take advantage of me. Grateful that I got the chance to start over. I learned that greed can turn people into strangers. That not everyone who says they love you actually does. That sometimes people love what you have more than who you are. I learned that standing up for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. I learned that loss can be a gift in disguise, protecting you from something far worse. I no longer felt angry at Stephanie. I felt sorry for her. She let greed guide her decisions, and it cost her everything. A loving husband, a stable life, her integrity. She traded it all for money she never got. I was moving forward. I was open to the possibility of love again. But this time, I would be smarter. I would watch for the signs. I would protect my heart without closing it off completely. I would trust, but verify. I would love, but not blindly. One day the right person would come along, and when they did, I would know. Because they would love me, for me. Not for my family's money, not for what I could give them, just for who I am. Looking back now, I realize that sometimes the best revenge is not about making them pay. It is about refusing to let their betrayal define you. It is about standing up when it matters, and then walking away with your dignity intact. And you know what, I am grateful, because losing someone who only saw dollar signs when they looked at me meant I got the chance to find myself again. And that in the end was worth more than any trust fund could ever be. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had someone in your life who valued what you had more than who you were? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that your worth is not defined by what others take from you, but by what you choose to keep. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and remember that sometimes the hardest endings lead to the best new beginnings. Take care.